Hi everybody, and a really warm welcome to my very first live stream here on YouTube, and I'm so delighted to be here. I feel like this platform is going to suit our weekly wildlife wisdom much better, and yeah, it's been interesting figuring out how to do all this, and thank you to all of you that have subscribed to help me get over the required number of subscribers to go live, and here we are. I hope you're doing well. I know, Susie, you're here already, and it's so lovely to welcome you. I'm very fitting that you're my very first live viewer here on YouTube. Thank you for your support, because I really appreciate everybody who comes along and learns from wildlife and their amazing wisdom. So today we are going to be talking about kestrels, and there is a very specific reason that it's kestrel, but it's also very closely connected with all falcons and the energy and wisdom of falcons as a whole group of birds. So even if you don't have kestrels in the country that you're living in, just be aware of, perhaps find out if you don't know already, what falcons are in your particular homelands, and look out for them and maybe learn from them as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to share with you initially the reason that it's kestrels this week, and I feel that it'll come from that in terms of what I want to share. I did actually put up a falcon weekly wisdom, weekly wildlife wisdom back in December, and I have shared it as a recording here on my channel on YouTube. So that's got different things in it. If you're really interested in more of the falcon energy, then do find that on my channel and have a listen to that as well. But I felt like there was a very specific reason that kestrel popped up for this particular return to weekly wildlife wisdom. So it was probably about a week ago, maybe a little bit longer. Dates and days tend to get a bit mixed up in my mind these days. But I was out on a beautiful day. It was very quiet. I live very rurally, and I decided I wanted to go for a walk. I came to the end of our short drive, and my logical mind said turn left and go that way, but my intuitive mind went go right. So I went right, and I didn't have any expectation, and I walked a short way up our lane, and both sides of the road, which is a very narrow road, a country road, there are two beautiful hedgerows which go all the way up the lane, which is about a mile long, because they are boundaries for the farmers' fields. And they're beautiful, great big hedgerows, and of course lots of life in the hedgerows. So I'm walking up this beautiful path, and just in the moment, listening to the birds and looking and exploring what new wildflowers have opened up. And suddenly, out of the corner of my eye, I saw a movement, and I looked up, and to my absolute delight, it was a male kestrel. And this is a European kestrel. So again, in different countries, kestrels will look slightly different. But in the UK and the European kestrel, the males have a grey head and the females have a brown head. There are some other differences, but that's the main way you can tell the difference. So this is a male kestrel. And it very quickly became obvious that he was hunting. So of course, as soon as I saw him, A, I stopped in wonder and was just looking up, and B, I knew that I had to become very still and really draw my energy in and quieten down my thinking mind and go really into my heart and send him love and trust and peace and an assurance that I was absolutely a benevolent force, and that I was in awe of his spectacular beauty. So I did that instinctively. And I don't know how long it was, because in all these wonderful experiences that I have with wildlife, and I'm sure you do as well, time disappears, everything disappears. There are no cars, no people, just this beautiful kestrel and me going, oh, how amazing, and just in total awe. So as I watched, he was using the trees. There are some big elder trees, elder as in their age, different sorts of trees, oaks and ash, and a few other different sorts. And he was using the trees very wisely to sit in and watch, because he was in hunt mode. So he's watching the hedgerows on both sides of the road, and he would sit and he'd be completely still. So again, first message, complete stillness when you are focusing and determining what you want to bring into your experience. And this was the big message, and is the most, for me, a very powerful message from lots of animals, but in particular, the falcons are very, very good at this. And so this was the first, settling into that energy of, look how magnificently focused he is. And then when he was ready, and obviously his hearing and his sight is probably, millions of times better than mine, he could hear or see movement in the hedgerows. He would then out, so elegant, out of the tree, and there'd sometimes be some, this sort of movement, and he's, so aerodynamic and beautiful. So it wasn't always a direct drop. There was sometimes some curves and then coming in, presumably to get a different angle to make his pounce onto whoever was his prey that he'd spotted. And he did that a few times, and then he'd go back up to the tree with nothing. And then on, I think it was probably the third occasion, he came down, and as he hit the earth, you hear this little noise. And then he flew straight up, and in his talons, he'd got a prey animal. I would guess it was probably a shrew or a little mouse. I'm not sure, because I couldn't see. But then he took his prey. He knew I was there. I'm absolutely definite he knew I was there. He took his prey. He sat up on the opposite side hedgerow, on the top of the hedgerow, and started to eat his prey with his back to me. And this is when I got real goosebumps, because I felt so incredibly honoured that he would eat his prey with his back to me, which was all about trust. And it really sort of touched me in terms of his trust that who I was and what I was emanating was okay for him to do that. And when you think about they're wild, they and also on top of that, they have been massively persecuted through eons of time by humans, in particular. These had no reason to trust me, but there was a reason, because I was sending this energy. And so this is not about me saying, oh, how wonderful that was that I did that. This is about us thinking about ourselves and how what we send out in our energy affects everything around us. And when we come from a place of dropping to the heart and having deep respect and love, unconditional love, which I've always found much easier with animals and all of nature than I have with people. Don't know about you. People tend to be a little bit more messy. They're not so clear and clean. They then respond, and the animals and nature always respond. But we have to notice it, and we have to learn from what they're showing us. So this happened, but it also sort of mirrored back to me the question that I've been working through, which is about trusting myself, and then becoming more effective at trusting others. And sometimes that's appropriate, and sometimes it's appropriate to decide not to trust another and to have those boundaries, but be able to spot that and to know when it's okay. And this kestrel just blew me away, as all the animals do, with this amazing ability to go, I don't mind, I'll show you my back because I know that you're no threat to me. And so he then finished eating his snack, and then he was back up into the tree. And I basically I was walking along with him as he was moving from tree to tree. I would just walk very slowly and keep a very respectful distance, and then I would just stay very, very still, and I wouldn't give my full, tilt my head and stare. I would sort of keep my head down and then look up with my eyes very gently and respectfully. And he allowed me to follow him. He tried another few attempts and wasn't successful. So again, for me, that's about, you don't get what you want all the time, one step after the other. But when you stay focused and you have that determination, which if you listen to my first my first recording that I've uploaded here, you'll hear more about how we as humans can get better at that, by focusing on what we want rather than what we don't want, which sounds obvious, but it's amazing how often we can get trapped into that. But yeah, so he showed me that, and I thought, I was completely blown away. In the end, I thought maybe I'm getting in the way of him hunting because I am human, and when I walk, I'll probably make a lot more noise than I realise, even though I was trying to walk quietly. So I thought, this is time for me to go. So I said my thank yous and sent my love to the spirit of the animal that he just fortified his body with, which is such a sacred thing. And I moved away, and I was, as you are when you have that sort of experience, just moved very deeply. And so I thought about that and knew Kestrel was going to be here today, but I didn't really expect a second encounter, which I was blessed to receive. And I must just add that Kestrels, I know of Kestrel families that live probably 3 or 4 miles away from here, but this is the first time, I think, I can't remember, in the 12 years we've lived here, that I've actually seen a kestrel right here, right on our doorstep. And I think they are nesting close by, because I keep hearing what I think is the female calling for food. Very close by. So I think he was, they have to feed themselves, look after themselves first, and then they're taking constant food to their youngsters to raise them. So a few days later, can't remember the exacts, doesn't really matter, I went into my little utility room to open my fridge to get something. And just as I walked in, I looked out the window, and there was a load of little birds gathered on the floor where we feed the birds. We put peanuts in feeders, and we have seeds on the ground, because we have a mixture of small birds and also some of the larger birds that will only feed from the ground. So we put it down on the floor, and there was a number of different birds. And then all of a sudden, just as I looked out of the window, which is why I say it's not a coincidence, kestrel, male kestrel, I'm sure it's the same one, down onto one of the poor little birds. I always feel a little bit sad for them, but it was so quick and so precise, and I'm pretty sure that these talons, end of life, is very quick, and it is, a clean. And then he was off with a little flurry of feathers, and he'd made this clean hunt, and again with his back to me. And he must, again, they feel the energy of you, whether you're inside behind a window or not. They feel that. I know they do. So again, the same message, but it was the speed and the cleanness of this hunt that just, again, blew me away in terms of precision and complete mastery of this focus and determination. So I knew then, if I hadn't already, which I did, that it was definitely a week for Kestrel and Falcon energy. So that's my sharing of these beautiful beings. And I'd love to hear from you if you've had any experience with kestrels or any of the falcon family. I don't know if you can see much of my t-shirt. I'll just show you down at the bottom. The second one from last. I love this t-shirt. I've had it only a week or so. It's all the UK. So it's all from biggest to smallest in size, not in energy and magnificence. All of the birds of prey from the UK. And the second one here, that is the kestrel. So I thought I'd wear that today just to honour all of these beautiful birds of prey. But I'd love to hear from you in the comments, or you can email me or contact me via my website, juleschabot.com. Susie saying it's a great shirt. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I know. I love it. It's gorgeous, and it's organic cotton, and it just fits beautifully. I love it. From an organisation called Silhouettes, if you want to look them up. I don't know if they ship overseas. They probably do, but they are UK based, and I love. They've got all sorts of different designs, wildlife. I think nearly all of their stuff's wildlife, but yeah, it's gorgeous, gorgeous design. So yeah, so get in touch. I'm gonna sign off shortly because I like to keep these relatively short and sweet. All being well, I'll be back next week, Friday, 10 o'clock UK time, which is my normal, unless I'm unable, which sometimes happens. For those of you new and watching me for the first time, I do manage and have to cope on a daily basis with migraine. So I sometimes have to postpone, but I always let you know in advance if that happens. So if you haven't already, do subscribe so that you can get a notification for my next weekly wildlife wisdom. Susie saying, I'm so glad you're doing this on YouTube. Thank you, Susie. Yeah, it just, one of you people that on Instagram, and also just share the word and have great chats with wonderful people that are keen to learn more about how much we can learn from the incredible wisdom of these beautiful wild ones. So I'm sending you all lots of love. Fingers crossed, back next Friday. Not sure who yet, but they always turn up, and I will schedule again like I did for this one. So I'm sending you lots of love. Take good care of yourselves, and I will see you again very soon. Bye for now. Bye.